Earl Long, a political maverick's most scandalous and shocking facts. Earl Long, three-time governor of Louisiana and the younger brother of the infamous Huey Long, was a colorful figure in American political history. Known for his fiery oratory, progressive policies, and controversial personal life, Long's tenure in politics was marked by both scandal and achievement. Here are 10 of the most scandalous and shocking facts about Earl Long that capture the essence of his tumultuous career. Fact number 1. Early years and personal life. Earl Kemp Long was born on August 26, 1895, in Winfield, Louisiana. He was the younger brother of Huey P. Long Jr., who would later become a prominent political figure. Earl's early exposure to politics came through his family's involvement, particularly during Huey's campaign for governor in 1928. Earl once commented, "My brother Huey could talk the ears off a mule." This immersion in political life from a young age carved his path into the political arena. Earl Long married Blanche Revere on October 5, 1932. They met at Louisiana State University, where Earl pursued law before embarking on his political career. Blanche was deeply involved in his political campaigns and was known for her organizational skills and political acumen. During Earl's mental health episode in 1959, Blanche took over many of his gubernatorial duties, demonstrating her capability and dedication. Earl's reflections on their childlessness were often tinged with sadness. He once remarked, "Politics is my baby," highlighting his commitment to his career over personal pursuits. Number 2. The infamous mental health scandal. The dramatic involuntary commitment of Earl Long to the Southeast Louisiana Hospital occurred on June 26, 1959. His commitment was the result of what his political rivals and even some allies described as increasingly erratic behavior, which included a notorious incident where he allegedly shouted insults from the state capitol steps. Earl's reaction to his commitment was one of defiance. He reportedly yelled, "I'm not mad. I just don't agree with you all," during his confinement. Upon his orchestrated release on July 6, 1959, after replacing the hospital director with a loyalist, Earl famously quipped to reporters, "It's not whether you're paranoid or not, it's whether they're really after you," reflecting his belief that his commitment was a political maneuver rather than a concern for his mental health. Number 3. Affair with a stripper. The public revelation of Earl Long's affair with Blaze Starr began in late 1958, when the governor was spotted attending her burlesque performances. Blaze herself was known to speak candidly about their relationship, famously stating in an interview, "Earl Long was a man who was as passionate about his women as he was about politics." Their relationship was not just a fleeting scandal, it persisted visibly into 1959, significantly impacting Earl's political and personal reputation. The affair was brought into sharper focus during Earl's mental health scandal, where critics often cited his indiscretion as further evidence of his unsuitability for office. Despite the controversy, Earl remained unapologetic, telling a reporter in 1959, "I'm just a red-blooded American man, and I can't help it if I admire a beautiful woman." This affair, coupled with his colorful character and political career, made Earl Long a figure of enduring interest and controversy in Louisiana politics. Number 4. Racial integration stance. Earl Long's progressive stance on racial integration marked a significant deviation from the prevailing segregationist norms of the South during his tenure. In the late 1950s, particularly during his last term in office, Long undertook bold measures to dismantle racial barriers. One of his most notable actions was the integration of Louisiana State University, LSU. In 1953, under his governorship, LSU admitted its first African-American student, A.P. Terode Jr., setting a precedent for integration in state educational institutions. Earl Long's commitment to protecting the voting rights of black citizens was equally significant. He fought against voter disenfranchisement practices that were rampant across the South. In a 1959 speech, he declared, "Every man, regardless of his color, is entitled to the full benefits of American citizenship. If we deny that, we deny America." This stance placed him at odds with many Southern politicians and segments of his voter base who supported segregation. Number 5. Eccentric public behavior. Earl Long was renowned for his unorthodox and colorful public persona. His ability to switch from standard English to a thick, rural Cajun dialect endeared him to Louisiana's diverse populace. During his 1956 re-election campaign, Long famously engaged in public singing and dancing, often performing old Cajun songs to connect with voters. This approach, while unconventional, was a testament to his deep roots and understanding of local culture. His eccentricities were not limited to linguistics or performances. In one memorable instance during a 1959 parade, Long climbed onto the back of a flatbed truck and danced with a broom as a partner, to the amusement and bewilderment of onlookers. He justified his antics by saying, "If you can't enjoy being governor, you shouldn't run for it." These behaviors, while often criticized as undignified, underscored his populist appeal and his knack for capturing the public's imagination. Number 6. Controversial tax policies. During his tenure as governor, Earl Long implemented ambitious fiscal policies to enhance Louisiana's infrastructure and social services. He significantly increased state spending on education, roads, and welfare, financing these initiatives through higher taxes on natural resources like oil and gas. Critics labeled these policies as fiscally irresponsible and potentially corrupt, highlighting the state's increasing debt. In 1959, amid criticism, Long argued, "My philosophy is simple: take from the rich and give to the poor. That's not socialism, that's humanity." He insisted that these measures were vital for the state's overall welfare, pointing to visible improvements in infrastructure and public services to justify his policies. Number 7. Controversial pardons. During his terms, Earl Long issued a number of controversial pardons that stirred significant public and political debate. Among the most notable was his pardon of Frank Costello, a notorious figure with alleged ties to organized crime. Costello had been convicted on various charges, and his release was seen by many as a blatant misuse of the gubernatorial power to grant pardons. Critics argued that this pardon could have been influenced by political donations and connections rather than any legal or moral justification. Earl Long defended his decision by asserting, "I believe in second chances, and the justice system is not infallible." This pardon was one among several that led to accusations of corruption and favoritism, severely impacting Long's reputation and intensifying suspicions around his administration's integrity. He often accused reporters of bias and slander, and he famously threatened a newspaper editor by saying, "I'm going to be governor as long as the people want me, and if you don't like it, you can kiss my ass." Number 8. Rivalry with Huey Long. Earl and Huey Long's rivalry extended beyond personal disagreements, deeply influencing Louisiana's political climate. Huey's tenure as governor from 1928 to 1932 and his time in the U.S. Senate were marked by aggressive populist policies, which Earl initially supported. However, after Huey's assassination in 1935, Earl sought to step out of his brother's shadow by asserting his political identity. He openly criticized some of Huey's methods while governor, particularly the latter's tendency towards authoritarianism. In a 1939 speech, Earl famously differentiated himself by saying, "I am a Long, but not an Echo," highlighting his intent to pursue his version of progressive policies without mimicking his brother's style. Number 9. Impeachment attempt. The 1940 impeachment attempt against Earl Long was initiated on April 6, 1940, and was driven by allegations that he had misappropriated over $200,000 of state funds for personal use, including the unauthorized use of state-owned vehicles and equipment for campaign purposes. The impeachment proceedings were highly publicized, with detailed reports in local newspapers and significant public interest. Earl's political acumen was on full display as he managed to sway the Louisiana House of Representatives, securing a narrow victory with just a few votes over the required majority to block the impeachment. His ability to survive this political ordeal was often cited by Earl in later years as evidence of his political resilience and the loyalty of his allies, famously remarking, "They tried to bury me, but they didn't know I was a seed." Number 10. Abuse of power and nepotism. Earl Long's administration was frequently marked by appointments that blurred the lines between familial loyalty and public service. One notable instance was the appointment of his nephew, Russell Long, to a state committee overseeing transportation, despite Russell's limited experience in the field. This appointment, among others, was cited in a 1954 investigative report by the New Orleans Times-Picayune, which detailed how such practices were widespread in the Long administration. Earl's defense of his nepotistic policies often reflected his blunt approach to criticism, once stating in a 1955 press conference, "If I can't trust my blood, who can I trust?" This statement encapsulated his governance philosophy, which prioritized loyalty and personal connections, often at the expense of administrative professionalism and public perception.